here, and I am here with my Week 1 recap and power rankings for TDT Season 3. My last video got about 150 views, which is super insane. I'm very thankful to all the people of TDT who watched that. But today, I'm gonna go over a quick recap of all these games that happened, and then I'm gonna give you my updated PRs for Week 1, and then I'll do a quick predictions for what I think happens in Week 2. And yeah, so let's just get started. So the first game in Week 1 is Alakazam IQ versus the Drunken Spoons, and a theme that you're gonna notice, especially in this first game, and throughout a couple of the games here, is that this week was just chock full with upsets. There were a lot of results which I definitely did not expect to happen, and yeah, my record in the pick'ems this week definitely wasn't very good, but I'll just sort of run through this real quick. We have first Dougal versus Killer Assai. I don't know if it's Killer ASCII or Assai, but I'm just saying Assai. And yeah, Killer just absolutely destroyed here. Which is very surprising. Dougal is a pretty well-known player. I think people kind of know that he wasn't really gonna try too hard in this league, but at the same time, like, wow, he really got destroyed. And I was watching this game. Excellent play by Killer. Doing a great job over there. Drunken Spoons definitely moving up on my PRs this week. And then you have X-Luke versus Zooch. I didn't watch this battle. I've talked with Zooch before, but in general I don't really know either of these guys too well. But X-Luke won, so good job him. And then you have Halu versus Boink. Halu wins. That one's not too surprising. Obviously Halu's a good player, and since he's a captain, he probably is trying pretty hard in this league, even though he is also a captain in DPL. And then you have one of the biggest upsets of the week, and most likely of the season. You have Tort versus Hacker. The god Hacker Killer 557 just absolutely made some plays in that game. He was on fire. I've never seen Hacker play as well as he did in that game. And just sort of wheelchaired over there, which everybody doubted Hacker, but he just did an excellent job there. And great play from him. And then you have Robin versus Cam, and Cam wins 4-0 there. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Cam. He's a great guy, and not super surprising to see him do well so far. And then these last two games, you have Zern versus Phil. Zern wins. Zern's obviously a great player, so not super surprising there. Although there was definitely potential for an upset there, as Phil is a good player too, and Zern probably isn't trying that hard in this league. But that did not happen. And then you have Trace versus TPB. I know a lot of the people on Alakazam IQ have been talking up Trace a bunch, and as much as I love my guy TPB, he did lose this game. I'm not 100% surprised, because obviously a lot of people have been saying, oh, Trace is so good. So there's that. But I am a little surprised, because I do love my guy TPB. He's a great dude. So yeah, in general, the Drunken Spoons won, which was a little surprising to me, although Obviously, I had them higher than Alakazam IQ on my week 1 post-auction PRs. Sorry, but that was mainly because I didn't really expect that Alakazam IQ would be able to start all of like Dougal, Halu, and Zern every week. And since they did this week, I was like, oh, Drunken Spoons probably loses this, but no, the Drunken Spoons won, and I think they're definitely moving up on the PRs for that. And yeah, saw some excellent play from some of those players, so great job there. Then we're moving on to another pretty big upset. I know I had Blazing Infernape pretty high on my PRs, but not many people did. And they kind of absolutely destroyed Suckmanween. And I know Blazing Infernape is also moving up on my PRs, and Suckmanween is moving way down. And I think, I've been talking to PK a little bit this season, and he's like, oh, this guy's so good, just nobody knows him. And, I've been taking his word for it a little bit. I put him at, 4th, which is a really high spot on my post-auction PRs, but I think this week he really sort of proved that, yes, these players are good, yes, I can, this team can put up some pretty fucking good results, and there were a lot of upsets here. The only disappointment is here in this first game. PK definitely talked up this guy Dwinch. He was like, oh, this guy's as good as Ziff. He's like, oh my god. But no, he got 6-0'd by Wombo. So not all of them are always gonna turn out the way you want them to, but I think that this team has also proven that PK has been able to draft a very solid squad here. So moving on, we have the Real PETA versus Pi, and this is one of the biggest upsets of the week as well. Probably not as big as Hacker versus Tort. Obviously the Real PETA did a great job. I know he was in the off season, and yeah. And then you have Robot Boy versus Wordlife. Again, a huge upset here. I've talked to Robot Boy before, but I don't really know him, and just able to beat out a player like Wordlife, who, while he may not try that hard on this league, but he's still a very solid player. And then you had Pyronox beating Regulator. This one wasn't as big of an upset. I know that the people had voted for Pyronox in the pick'ems, but yeah, he's able to secure a very solid victory here. And Regulator is a good player, but people aren't really sure if he's playing that hard, and stuff like that. So able to get a good win there, so that's nice. And then you have Gamin 4-0 over Rise of Darkrai. This one definitely isn't an upset. I love my guy Gamin. He's a great dude. And able to pull out another win for this team. And then you have the only upset on the other side, Bulk Up beating PK, which is a bit of an upset there. But yeah, we see Suckmanween getting another win, so there's that. Although they did not secure very many of those. And then you have yet another upset, that being Tikito versus Inversify. Yeah, just Inversify was definitely hyped up as one of the best LC players in this tournament, but just not able to win his first week. I'm sure that he'll probably come back and do pretty well, because he was 33k for an LC player, but Tikito comes out with the win, so there's that. In general, I think that, again, like I said, the people in Blazing Infernape have really proven to me that PK wasn't really just talking shit. He's, except for maybe on Twitch, he really means that these players are good. These players can get the job done, and yeah, that's a good deal. It's good. It's a good thing, and this team will be moving up in my PRs because of it. So the next match we have Yusu and Friends versus That's Shady Business, but the dock is fucking broken. I don't know what happened there. So yeah, this was probably one of the more even games going into this. Well, I mean, there were a few pretty even games, but yeah, you have Yusu and Friends actually winning this week, and I think that their PRs will be affected because of that. They did quite well. The players really showed that they did quite well. So first you have Bunny versus Kerrigan. Pop-ups. And I didn't watch this match, I don't think, but Bunny won, so there's that. It's not a super surprising result. You have Cheez-Its versus Mustang. This one is a pretty surprising result because Mustang going for significantly more than Cheez-Its. And Cheez-Its absolutely kind of destroys him. Definitely a player to look out for there. Has great potential to be a surprise this season. And then you have Colin versus Toxic. I didn't watch this game, but from what I heard, it was kind of a shit show. There was a lot of talk about how bad this game was, but Colin won, so whatever. I didn't really have any opinions going into this game. I know Toxic's pretty good, but I don't really know either of these guys too well. And then you had Austrian George versus Renegade. This one was actually an upset too. I definitely thought that Austrian George would win this one, but no, Renegade is able to pull that one out and win in 4-0, so a very decisive victory there. I know Renegade was pretty upset with me calling him Casper level. That's a quote from my week 1 PR. Why do I keep saying my week 1? My post-auction PRs video. That's a direct quote. I said Renegade is Casper level, but nah, maybe he'll do quite well this season. Who knows? Definitely doing a very good job that game versus Austrian George, who is a great player over there, obviously. And then you have the Pichu Bros 5-0 over Jeremy. I wasn't really surprised whoever won this. Like, if someone won this game, I wouldn't be really surprised, but definitely expected it to be closer than 5-0. From what I heard, it was a very well played match on both ends. They both did a great job, but Pichu Bros just ended up playing better, I guess. So yeah, that looks like I might have to watch that one. I haven't watched it yet. Then you have Ashy versus Brat. Brat wins 1-0. That's not super surprising. I'm not sure who I voted for, but those are probably pretty equal level skill players. Equal skill level, not equal level skill. I can't frickin' talk today. I don't know. Yeah. So Brat wins that one. And then you have LC Blinn versus Koala Can C. I think I voted for Blinn. And I guess Koala Can C is Shady Business's LC player. I didn't really know that going into this. But he's able to pull up the victory, and yeah, so Yusu and Friends win. I think that this was a pretty even matchup. I think that Yusu did a great job. They had a good lineup here and definitely pulled off a couple upsets and were able to take the win. So yeah, I think that they will move up quite a bit on my PRs, and Shady Business will move down a few spots, although not that much, because I think that Yusu and Friends are a great team. Anyway, moving on, we have Team NJ versus the Big P Noodle Kings. Yeah, there was 5 games into this thing where BPN was up 3-2, and the last 2 games were Ultra Player versus Granbell and T-Row versus Aggro. And I definitely did not think that NJ was winning that at that point, because Endless got Gathita by Hundir. He swept him with Gathita. And Bredovis got beat by Muse the Best, although I think there was some hacks in that game. I was like, ooh, they're upsetting them, and I'm not sure if NJ's going to be able to pull this through, but no, they did. They pulled out a couple wins that I wasn't expecting in the last few minutes, and were able to secure a W there, so, you know, showing the world that they are my number one team in the post-auction PRs for a reason. So you had a couple games that weren't super surprising. You had Skyhorse beating Train of Premia. Obviously, those are two good players, but I think Skyhorse is the better player. And then you have Owen 5-0 over Cavaliers. I'm not so certain about that whole Owen's not going to try thing anymore, because he seemed like he knew what he was getting into when he got out of the game, and I was like, is this guy really not trying or no? But yeah, did a great job both versus Cavaliers. Was a very good game over there. And then you had Endless versus Hundier. I already talked about that. Endless got Gathitaed. And that was pretty funny, although Endless said, you know, there wasn't really much he could do about it. And then you have Ultra Player versus Granbell. I didn't expect this result. I know that Granbell's a great player. But Ultra Player comes through with a win. And so, good job there. I'll re-examine what I think of Ultra Player, I guess. Then you have Takio versus Radata Men. I didn't really have too many expectations going into this, but Radata came out with a victory. And then you had Brett versus Muse the Best. I already talked about this. There were some hacks, but Brettavis did lose, unfortunately. And then T-Row Price versus Agronauts. I know that Agronauts is a great LC player. He's done well both of the previous two seasons in LC. But just absolutely getting kind of steamrolled here by T-Row. So, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe T-Row's a name to look out for in the coming weeks in the LC tier. But yeah, like I said, wasn't expecting NJ to win this, but I think they pulled through. And I think that they will remain a high spot on my PRs, although not quite as high as they were last week. They aren't the number one team anymore. We'll get to the PRs a little bit later. And in the last game, you had my bottom two teams in the PRs facing each other. Apocalyptic Pawns versus Arceus Wish, and wow, Arceus Wish kind of steamrolled them. Arceus Wish was at 9, and they will be moving up a few spots because I think they really showed that they were able to do some stuff. So first you had G-Blaze beating Savage. I didn't really have too many opinions going into this match. Those seem like pretty equal level skill players. And then you had Pineapple versus Arctic Weavile. I know obviously Pineapple was talking a lot of shit before this match, as he does with every match, but Arctic was able to kind of steamroll him over there. One of the few victories that Apocalyptic Pawns was able to achieve. And then for the next few games, you have BDNC versus Nathaniel. That's not a super surprising result. GB versus Love, that one's not super surprising. I don't think I've watched very many of these games. I watched GB versus Love. GB kind of came back from a deficit there, I remember. Yeah. You had Zero versus Estrella. Obviously, a lot of the people on Arceus Switch have really been talking up how good Zero is, and so he's able to come through with a victory here. Thiago Nunes versus Mysterious Player. I definitely did not expect this result. I don't think I watched that game, but Thiago Nunes absolutely steamrolls him. So that's who knows? Maybe Thiago Nunes is another player to look out for there. I don't really know him too well. And then you have another pretty surprising result from this match. You had Haru, who a lot of the people on Arceus Wish have really been talking up for being a really good LC player, losing to Cameron, who, I mean, I've heard of, Cameron's in GPL, but I didn't really know he was like a good LC player or something. I didn't watch this game, but a lot of people were saying, oh, this game's such a shit show, kind of like the the other one with Toxic and Colin. But I don't know. I think that Cameron pulling through with the victory is very surprising for me. But who knows? Maybe Cameron's pretty good in LC. I just don't know him very well. But yeah, so that's sort of the recap of all the games that happened. Yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot of upsets this week. I think that this was a pretty good week. I saw a lot of really solid plays here. I was like, some pretty nice tech that I was like, oh wow, people came up with this. But yeah, in general, a very nice week. Very fun to watch some of these games. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and transition to what my PR is on. I won't spend as much time on the PRs here, but here you go. The one team that doesn't change is I have Apocalyptic Pawns at 10. Obviously, they weren't able to really hold anything to the team that I had at second worst post-auction, which was Arceus Wish. But, you know, I think that they still have the ability to do well if someone really steps up to the plate, like Endless did on the Apocalyptic Pawns last year. No, not last year, last season, my bad. But who knows? You know, they'll really have to have someone step up to the plate. And also, a lot of the worries that I had with this team were sort of confirmed this week because, you know, Pesky didn't start week 1, which is very concerning. You know, he's their best player. He definitely needs to start. He is starting week 2, so there's that. But, I don't know, it's a little concerning over there. But if someone steps up to the plate and really is able to hard carry this team like Endless did last season, then I think that it can do some things. But yeah, it really needs that someone to, you know, happen. And then at 9 you have Alakazam IQ. I think this losing to Drunken Spoons was not a good thing for this team. I mean, they really need to have, you know, those guys Zern and Dougal and Halu all playing. And they were this week, and they still weren't able to beat the team which I had, you know, only one spot above them in the post-auction PRs. And that just makes me even more concerned for this team's future. I got another pop-up. Yeah. So anyway, at 8 I have Suck My Ween. This team definitely disappointed me this week. They didn't even hold anything to the Blazing Infernates. And they dropped a lot of spots because of that. I think they were at 3 post-auction. Yeah, they really need to step up and do a lot better in week 2 if they want to, you know, get a higher spot on the. I don't think they really care about getting a higher spot on this, but if they want to do well, I think they really need to start stepping up and do a lot better next week. But I don't know, we'll see. And then at 7 you had Arceus Wish. Definitely moving up a couple spots from 9. I still don't think they're a great team, but I think they can do some stuff, and I think they have the ability to move up even more spots next week if they're able to beat the team that they are facing against, which is, I don't remember what it is. Sorry. The Big P Nidokings, yeah. If they're able to beat the Big P Nidokings, then I think they can definitely move up a couple spots in their top 5. But they need to be able to do that, and I'm still very unimpressed with the squad, but I think if they can get some more wins, then they can definitely move up a couple spots. And then at 6 you have the Big P Nidokings moving down, I think, 1 spot. Obviously they lost to Team NJ, which is one of the best teams in the league, if not the best, but still I think that a lot of the players on this team are very good, but they need to be able to have a very consistent win person, and I don't know if they have that. I'm rambling on for so long that I've forgotten how to speak. Yeah, Big Pink Nido Kings are at 6. At 5 I have Drunken Spoons, moving up, I think 2 spots from post-auction. And yeah, I think a lot of the players really impressed me this week. Obviously I still don't think they're like one of the top tier teams in the league, but just definitely a lot of the players impressed me. And similarly to RCS Wish, I think if they can continue to impress me, then they can continue to move up. So yeah. Then you have Shady Business dropping 2 spots after they lost to Yusu and Friends. I think Yusu and Friends are a good team, but they definitely, they lost, so they're gonna move down. I think a lot of the players that I expected to do well just didn't do as well as I expected in this week. But I think that if they're able to do well next week, then they can definitely reclaim one of those top tier spots that I had them in previously. At number 3, you have Yusu and Friends. Probably the one team that I think I rated too low on the previous the post-auction PRs. This is the one team that I probably would have changed if I had like a couple extra minutes to write them. But yeah, they really impressed me this week. Obviously able to take down the team I had at number 2. And yeah, did a great job, and I think that they can continue to impress me and maintain this high spot. And then at number 2 you have Team NJ. Obviously Team NJ lost on a couple of their big players like Endless and Brett, but were able to make it back, and with a lot of their sort of less important players that I saw. And yeah, in general, I think that this team is still just very, very solid. I think that this week sort of only showed me that even if some of the players lose, they can still make it back with, Ultra Player, and T-Row Price did very well this week, and all those guys. Yeah, so I think that number 2 is very warranted, but number 1 is the Blazing Infernape. Like I said, PK really was talking up a lot of his players, and this week they absolutely steamrolled Suck My Ween, which I had at number 3 post-auction. And so I think that it's, I think that he wasn't just talking shit. I think a lot of the players on his team are very good, and I think that makes him the number 1 team this week. Obviously, if they lose next week, if they lose to the Drunken Spoons, then, that's going to move them down a couple spots. But we'll see. I think that they have a very solid team. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to really quickly go over which of the teams I predict wins in week 2 for all these matches. Alakazam IQ versus Team NJ. I do think that Team NJ wins this one. I can see Alakazam IQ winning in Zern versus Takio, and Trace versus T-Row, and I don't know, maybe Starwolf versus Reggie too, but in general I think that Team NJ has a very good team here, and it's going to be hard for Alakazam to, make it back and win this week. But yeah. And then you have RCS Wish versus Big P Nido Kings. RCS Wish really impressed me last week, but Big P Nido Kings I still think is the better team. I think they can win. But if RCS Wish can win this week, then I think they will be continuing to move up the list and, become even better. I think that RCS Wish obviously has momentum from last week, so, I think they can, if they can do a good job here, then they can continue to build that momentum, and that's just going to move them higher up on my PRs. But, you know, in general, I think obviously King of Crimea beats G-Blaze, I think Cavaliers beats Undead, and then there's just a lot of matches there that I think are pretty even, could go either way. So, you know, we will see what happens. And then you have Shady Business versus Apocalyptic Pawns. I mean, Shady Business, even though they lost last week, I think they're still a significantly better team than the Apocalyptic Pawns. You do see Pesky starting this week there, so maybe they can pull something through with that, and if they can do that, then obviously they'll move up significantly on my list. But yeah, in general, there's a lot of matchups that I just don't see them winning. But we'll see. And then you have the Blazing Infernates versus the Drunken Spoons. Obviously the Drunken Spoons impressed me last week, but so did the Blazing Infernates, and I do think that the Blazing Infernates are probably the best team in this tour, so I think that they will probably win. But yeah, if the Drunken Spoons can win here, then, you know, I think that they're one of the teams to fear. I think that we'll have to worry about them for sure. But, you know, who knows. And then you have, last one here, you have Yusu and Friends versus Suck My Ween. This is a pretty even matchup, even though there's a pretty good difference between them in the list. But yeah, I do think that Yusu will win. I think that, you know, Pichu wins, Evan wins, Austrian George wins, I think Ashi wins. But I think that if Suck My Ween can pull through, then they will be able to turn around their week one and move up on my PRs for sure. So yeah, I think that's just about all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you with my next week's PRs.